Development and Regeneration Committee. Can I ask everyone online to please mute their microphones at all times unless invited to speak to by myself. Members, please note that the new microphones are quite sensitive, and if a member is speaking, any conversations going on elsewhere in the chamber can be picked up if they're in this vicinity of that member. So please, as we do anyway, if we're quiet when others are speaking anyway, that would be great, so it's not picked up and got out. So can I now ask ICT to confirm that we've begun live streaming? Thank you. Okay, members, as I've said already, good evening everyone and welcome along to our Economic Development and Regeneration Committee. Our agenda item 1 tonight is apologies, and I've received one from Councillor Armagh. Have we any other apologies from the floor? No? Okay, thank you, members. Our declarations of interest in agenda item 2, if there's anyone wants to declare now, or as normal, we will take them as we go through the meeting. Are we all happy to progress with the meeting? Thank you. Okay, members, we want to welcome Councillor Ferguson tonight along to Economic Development and Regeneration Committee. She has taken the place of Councillor Alexander, so welcome to her tonight along. And members, also tonight you'll notice our numbers have swelled quite a bit. We have a team up in the back row here, and we want to give them a special welcome tonight. This is a lot of our economic development staff, and they're along to join with us tonight here in the meeting, so you're all very welcome. We have Elaine Mateer, who's an admin officer. I don't know if you want to wave when I call out your name here or not. If you don't, you don't have to. Don't worry. We have Daniel Salt, Employability and Skills Assistant, who's here. Karen Clark, Employability and Skills Assistant, also. Karen. Ronan McNally, Business Development Officer. Ronan kept the Deputy Lord Mayor and myself right last Friday at Rushmere, so you're very welcome. And Sarah McKnight, our Food Heartland Assistant. So you're all very welcome along tonight to our committee. I suppose, members, just to put it in a bit of context here, all of our team have probably not really sure of what actually happens at committee, so we wanted to bring them along tonight. We're maybe not sure what happens at committee some nights. I know Alderman Barry's laughing there, but he's a prime candidate. But you are all very welcome along, and as I say, you'll maybe see a wee bit more how it all happens, how it all runs through, and the amount of good work that you all put in, where it eventually leads to. So it's just some of the team. They're not all here tonight, so we might have a few others on another date. But I'm going to just bring in the Vice Chair to say a word of welcome to him, and then we'll ask SA just maybe to comment. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome you all too. I've met most of you there last June in Banbridge. You're doing a great job. Welcome tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jude. And we'll ask SJ to come in then. Have you press your button there, SJ?
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair, for the lovely warm welcome, and I'm delighted to be here this evening with some of the members of my team, and we look forward to updating you all later on during Report 3.2 on some of the work we've been delivering to support local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Jane, and as I say, you are all very welcome tonight. Hopefully you enjoy your time. The tea and sandwiches are good at the start. If the rest isn't, it'll be worthwhile for that. So thank you for coming along and joining us. Members, we'll go in then to agenda item 3, and it's a report decision item 3.1, and we'll ask Nicola to take us through that report. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Yes, item 3.1 is an urban ABC platform for businesses. So the decision required, it's recommended that the new approach to urban ABC, including promotion of both urban and rural city, towns and villages, along with a new job listing board, be approved.
Thank you, Nicola. And members, with a couple of lights on here, so we'll bring in Councillor Flaherty.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Nicola, for the report. This is actually very welcome to see. It's been talked about quite a lot in this committee about incorporating the rural areas and the villages in. And when I think back I think it was during the pandemic when the funding first came for this, and we sat in all these focus groups for months and months. This was what this to me is what the vision of Urban ABC was. It's starting to really come to the fore and become a really quite exciting platform across the board. So to see it being extended and focusing in a wee bit tighter actually is very welcome. I believe, and it's been said in this committee a number of times, that all areas of our borough need focused on. And yes, that does take a wee bit of work, but it is a superb platform for local businesses, particularly the small local independent businesses in our town centres, and I suppose primarily being a showcase for those business and employment. We need to use it to its full potential, which is where I think really the opportunity that this gives us to highlight employment and recruitment opportunities in those smaller businesses, I think is going to be really, really helpful. I do believe there was a pilot done which has been quite successful. So we know, we've talked about it in this committee before, that recruitment for those, particularly those smaller family businesses, is really quite a barrier. We've seen businesses close because they couldn't recruit staff, whether it's hospitality or retail, and that's true to say. So hopefully we can focus in here with this and see it shared and used across. There was one wee thing I did notice about our own sort of ABC Council website. I think that there's going to be a wee bit more collaboration and sharing of information across that, which is good to see. You know, so yes, it's fulfilling what I think we all thought it would at the start, and it just took maybe a wee bit longer. But it generally, good job. It really is. It is really working well for the town. I know, speaking from a Port Down point of view, the businesses are really quite excited about it. And it's something that we're providing for them. So I'm happy to propose that we keep moving forward with this platform. So happy to propose your recommendation, Nicola.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. And Alderman Barry.
Thank you, Chairman, and could I thank Paul and Nicola and the team for progressing this. This is something that I had requested at the end of last year in relation to the rural ABC, because urban has, through this here, I'm a very keen supporter and advocate of the urban ABC, and I could see how positive it was in promoting and showcasing not just the towns themselves, but the many, many businesses that are there. And I've always been a great believer in not just this committee, but in the department here in relation to how they're good for business. And no matter what business, whether it's large, smaller or medium businesses that I talk to, are always speaking very highly and positive of this council, which is very heartening to hear. So I commend everybody that's involved in that. This here is really good news, and as I say, I want to thank you for progressing this. One small business owner I was talking to today, and it's mentioned in this report in relation to try and get, employees sourced, because it's a big issue, especially within the hospitality industry, and that's where the individual I was talking to, where it's very difficult not just to attract but even to retain in some cases. So this here is very positive, and I'm really delighted to see this, and even in relation to advertising vacancies and stuff. And just one wee question that just for clarity in relation to this going forward, and we appreciate timescales, but is there going to be like a launch in relation to the rural ABC side of things? Is there going to be workshops, or is there going to be some way of promoting it further? Because the rural businesses, I believe, will really take on to this, and I would commend the folk that are in behind it. But thank you very much, and I'm happy to second Councillor Flaherty's proposal there. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Barry, and I'll bring Nicola in just on that wee point about a launch. Thank you, Nicola.
Absolutely. Alderman Barry, yes, those are all great suggestions, and we will be doing a launch. We hope to have it up and running for March, so we will have a launch, and it's a good idea about workshops as well, because we want really good content coming forward. We want it to be very organic, and we want to have nearly too much information that we have to try and sift through it and organise it, rather than having to chase around looking for stories and events. So that's a really good thing to think about, and we'll incorporate that into the launch.
Thank you, Nicola, and I suppose it is something that will continuously grow and change, and it is important. I know it definitely seems to be growing well, was currently doing. So, Alderman Moodray.
Thank you, Chair, and I would echo the praise that has come from previous speakers in relation to this, but can I just say, in relation to the additional service that will connect employers with potential employees, Can I ask around the timescale as to when that will be operational, especially given that we have our own in-house legal services? And mention is made of a small charge. Can I ask Nicola or someone to define what a small charge is? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Moodry. I'll bring Nicola back in.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we've had the opportunity to speak to our Legal Services Department before bringing the report here, and they just made us aware about, the implications potentially around state aid. Hopefully it wouldn't affect any of our SMEs or smaller retailers, but we have to be just clear on that. The small charge, I don't have a figure in mind, but it is a very, very minimum charge, just to satisfy that state aid regulation, and legal services have told us that that is something that we need to do. But I can come back to you with additional information after the meeting.
Thank you, Nicola. Alderman Moodry, you want back in?
Emphasise, sorry. Thank you, Chair. Just to emphasise, I would like some clarity around timescale, because the problem businesses of all sizes are facing is now, it's immediate. So we don't want something that's going to lag for 6 months because of a legal aspect, but thank you anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Just to clarify, we will have that kicked off at the same time as we're kicking off the Urban ABC. It'll be March time. So we've already sought that advice, and it's going to be easy just to put it into action.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor Kyle Savage.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's great to see this here coming before us, and especially the rural aspect. You'll not be surprised at me saying that, so you'll not. But a lot of our, as has been said, and Alderman Barry brought it up before Christmas time, and it was brought up a number of years ago as well during the dark days of COVID. But a lot of our villages feel a disconnect from services within our council of what they can do. And I note in your wording there, support a town centre first approach. This is about borough-wide, this is about council-wide here. Our towns have chambers of commerces and different things but we in our villages do not have that. So I'd like a close link with the villages and the businesses within there. And also to be working in closer partnership with our jobs, offices and all of that there. We need to be working in partnership, not to be taking away the work from what they do. And I think that's vitally important. The legal aspect sort of concerns me a wee bit. Is it good to go or is it not good to go? That's what we need to know. And I would have expected a definite answer here tonight in this report. So it is, we'll talk about launching in March. Is the legals right or is it not? And that's one thing that we need to be clear on in bringing reports to to council committee. So it is, Chair, in my eyes.
Thank you, Councillor Savage, and I think we'll have to tease that out then after, if they come back to us on if it is. Well, we are planning to go in March, is my understanding of it, so it is good to go in March from what we've been told. Hit your wee button again there from it.
The legals are good then? We're all clear to go in March?
Yep, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Have told us it's good to go. For March, we will have to apply a small charge. So I'm going to come back to you with details on what that small charge would be. It's to protect council as well as the small business.
Thank you, Nicola. You want back in? Hit your button again then.
Thanks, Chair, for letting me back in. But as I say, it is those businesses within our villages that do need as much attention as our towns, and I would expect that we do that going forward. We're the biggest part, we're the biggest rural council in Northern Ireland, so we expect that. Thank you.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. I suppose it does bear in mind things all work because of numbers. So on their own for a village, it's not going to work. It has to be on the back of what is already in there and on that thing, which I think is very important because they all bring it about with the numbers that are involved in it. Councillor Joy Ferguson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your warm welcome tonight to the Economic Development Committee. I just want to be associated with all the comments that my colleagues in the Chamber have mentioned tonight. I think we all know how good a job Urban ABC does in promoting businesses across this borough. So it is actually a delight to read that it will be extended to support the entire borough, particularly those towns and villages who are on the border areas, who do feel forgotten when it comes to council's visibility in those towns and villages. Actually, the promotion that Urban ABC could provide for them is a great recognition and a sense of achievement for them to actually appear on such a good social media channel, and that's something that we shouldn't forget. And as we open up wider conversations in council about how we do support our rural towns and villages, this will become a very good promotional tool and complementary to whatever we decide in taking forward and how we support rural towns and villages. So thank you, Nicola, for bringing this report, and we look forward to the launch in March.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson, and it's great that we have something that people do want to be part of and getting information in, so it's great for that. Councillor Duffy.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Nicola, for this report. No, just looking forward to this starting up, and wish you all the best for it. But a quick question around the job boards. Will we be monitoring council officers for equality and fair employment and all that there? Because there could be a kickback till council if something is falsely advertised or along that type of line.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, thank you, Councillor Duffy. Yes, we have developed a recruitment process and criteria for businesses to promote their vacancies for a short period of time. And that'll be online and it'll make it more efficient. And the criteria give assurances around the businesses that are accepted, and to make sure that, you know, that we are happy with the businesses that are selected and what they're putting online as well. And we would encourage them to use it as a platform and to use other measures like the job centres and other places where they seek employment as well.
Thank you. Councillor. Okay, members, with no other lights on, it's been proposed by Councillor Flaherty, seconded by Alderman Barry. Are we all agreed? Agreed. Thank you, members. Okay, members, we're going to move on to agenda item 3.2, and we're going to hear a lot of what has gone on and what this team and all that's here tonight has been involved in. So if I could ask Esther, if you put your mic on.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. It's lovely to be here this evening to have the opportunity to present to you and to update you and highlight some of the work that the team has been working on over recent months. It's highlighted in report 3.2, but I'll just talk to some of the key points if that's okay. We have the Go Succeed programme, which continues to be our flagship programme, which delivers bespoke mentoring support to businesses at all stages of their life cycle, whether they're just starting out or they're growing or expanding or wishing to scale. So there's mentoring available through that programme still, and to date we have supported over 1,300 businesses with that mentoring support. We have the Digital Transformation Flexible Fund, which continues to support businesses on their strategic digital transformation journey with grant funding. And just to draw to your attention that we have an information workshop on that taking place this Monday, the 17th of February at 10 a.m. in the Civic Centre. We have the Rural Business Development Grant Scheme, which is now closed to applications, but I'm delighted to report that everyone who passed the score of 65 was granted a letter of offer. So we're supporting 69 local businesses with grant aid funding through that scheme, which is delivered in partnership with DERA. And just to highlight, across those three programmes, Go Succeed, Digital Transformation and the Rural Business Development Grant Scheme, to date we have administered £520,000 of grant funding through Go Succeed to 160 local businesses, over £170,000 from Digital Transformation Flexible Fund to 11 local businesses, and just short of £250,000 from DERA to the 69 rural businesses. So this funding goes a long way to support local businesses, local SMEs, to innovate, grow and expand their operations, creating employment, reaching new markets and customer bases. Then you'll note in the report we have highlighted the work that's ongoing at the moment through the Food Heartland. We continue to work with businesses across the sector from field to fork, as this remains a priority piece for Council through the delivery of the agriculture strategy and the Food Heartland network. So members will be reminded that in October 2023, Council agreed to pilot 3 celebration events for the sector, acknowledging the contribution of the agri-food sector across the borough. And it was proposed at the time these would take place in late 2023 or early 24. Unfortunately, this did not happen, but I'm delighted to report that these will be scheduled to take place between the 10th and the 14th of March. So you'll all receive information about that, and we'd be delighted to have your support and to have you attend. That would mean a great deal to the local businesses and to the teams. And just to highlight some of the other great initiatives that have taken place through Food Heartland that we deliver in collaboration with the likes of Southern Regional College, NIFTA and key organisations like Food NI. On the 21st of January, we had Grow Together, Regenerating Our Borough, in collaboration with Southern Regional College in their Banbridge campus, and that was attended by 60 local businesses. We had a site visit to Slurrycat just last week, and that was attended by 15 local businesses again from across the sector. And we have a range of other really good events coming up, including one tomorrow in the Armagh City Hotel, which is the impact of optimised nutrition on animal health and carbon impact. So we're looking forward to that event. So that just will give you a snapshot of some of the engagement that we've been doing through the Food Heartland, and we continue to work very closely to promote our businesses online and to shout about and champion the great businesses we have from across the sector here in the borough. Then if I may just highlight some of the great work that we have ongoing to support employability and skills. We have the Labour Market Partnership, which is funded through the Department for Communities. And we have, at the moment, we have a Classroom Assistant Academy, which is fully subscribed. We have Disability Employment Programme, which is ongoing, and there's spaces available should you know or anyone who would maybe be interested to attend. We have an Employability Academy as well, linking local people to local employers, which is a great opportunity to gain a skill and move into employment. We have an employer-led progression programme, so that's a career development programme to help upskill existing staff, so to help nurture people along and encourage that pipeline of talent in the local economy. And we have a reskilling academy specifically for people who are age 50 plus, and that's to encourage that age bracket to reskill and to look at different career opportunities. That one I do believe is now fully subscribed. But again, if you know anyone interested in any of these, please let me know. And some recent events through the Labour Market Partnership that have taken place. We had the Armagh Job Fair on the 30th of January in the Marketplace Theatre, and that was attended by 120 people. We had the big apprenticeship event here last week, and that was a fantastic event and really successful with over 920 attendees, and it was great to see the buzz and the engagement in the room with local companies and local people, local families in supporting the next generation, so that was brilliant. And just to highlight then, we have the major conference which is funded through the Labour Market Partnership, which is focused on retention and reskilling and recruitment. That's going to take place on Thursday the 13th of March, and again you'll all be invited to attend, and we appreciate your support with that. And then just to highlight, there'll be a job fair taking place on the 26th of March in the Millennium Court. So these will continue to be promoted online and through all our networks. And then finally, just to highlight the Multiply programme, which is coming to an end, but through that programme we've been able to, in a very practical way, support local people to develop their numeracy skills with very practical initiatives, and that was delivered in partnership with the Department for the Economy, and we're just about to wrap up that programme, and there are 2 health and wellbeing cookery sort of skills budgeting programmes supporting 20 local residents, and that will be finished by the 31st of March. But thank you very much again for the opportunity to present and for some of my team to join this evening. Happy to take.
Thank you, Sarah Jane. And certainly just before we go to questions, could I just put on record that it is a very, very busy department. There's an awful lot going on. I know the Deputy Lord Mayor and myself are at the SRC apprenticeship thing that organised the other night. Fantastic to see 920-something people here, but we want to beat Newry's, so we need to get another 40 or 50 for next year. I think they had a couple more. We were going on their numbers, but also I think it's just the amount of different things that goes on. Obviously, at the job for Armagh too, I was at it with the Lord Mayor, and there was a real buzz about it as well. And I think those who were set up and had their stalls at it, for want of a better word, were really impressed with the effort that went into it and the way it was all organised. And one thing for me, just looking through it, is the massive difference in some of the things we can offer. And I'm just thinking there of that classroom assistant academy. I think that's a fantastic thing that we're able to do. I remember my year as Lord Mayor, when we were out visiting some of the schools, especially some of our special schools, they had a real shortage. There was over 30 across 2 or 3 of them in the same days, and to come back and be able to feed that in, I didn't have a clue what we could do in that, but I know we had done something for HGV drivers in the past, we've done different things, and here we are now, and I've seen the videos on where folks have now qualified through this and they're doing it. So there's a fantastic amount of work that goes on, and I certainly thank you for bringing the report tonight. Members, it is for noting, but we have a few speakers here. I'm going to bring in our Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. And not really a question, but just a comment to make, and to congratulate our team and for the fantastic work they do. The depth of knowledge and experience that you have and are bringing to this role is absolutely phenomenal, and it's great to see that we have that talent within our council. So it is. I know I have attended many events over this last while, and it's great to see that these events are well supported within, and Sarah with the Food Heartland and all, and dedicated work that she puts in and works hard to deliver those programmes, and I thank you all for that, and the jobs fair, the apprenticeships, all right throughout. And again, it's the wealth of talent that we have within our council that we should be so proud of, and I thank you personally for that, and on behalf of our team here as well, and keep up the good work. We look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. And it's not just the big crowds that are at them, it's the way they're done. You always feel very pleased to be part of it when you're organising, you're going, you know it's well organised. So, Councillor MacLeod.
Okay, Chair, thank you for letting me in, and thank you to Sarah Jane for what was an excellent report. A couple of questions or queries that I would have, and I suppose the first one would be around the digital transformation flexible fund, and I'm interested in any comments you may have, Sarah Jane, in terms of what potential blockages to businesses availing of that would be, you know, and I suppose I'm thinking, you know, in terms of the sort of internet availability and so on and so forth, or is there any blockages? So just a comment or two on that, if possible. And my other one is a wee bit ahead of time. I note the Agriculture Forum and I note the subject matter. If after the event takes place, I could get a wee bit of a breakdown in terms of the audience that was there. And, you know, I'm thinking sort of farmers, the farm and service sector and so on. It would just be interesting to have a breakdown on that. So if you could keep those in mind. Okay, Chair, thank you.
Thank you, and I'll bring Sarah Jane in just, so it's a question on the digital fund and the folks that are attending. Thank you, yes.
Thank you, Councillor MacLeod. In terms of the Digital Transformation Flexible Fund, we're not aware of any internet issues, although that's not to say they don't happen, but we're very keen to support and promote that programme, and where anyone hasn't been successful in that programme, there's now wraparound support through Go Succeed to help encourage businesses who've maybe applied previously and haven't been successful. So we're putting in place measures to make sure that there's a good pipeline of businesses to really benefit from that programme locally. And things like the workshops, we have those hosted locally as well in council venues. So it's actually something we can bring up and ask if businesses are having issues. Certainly we can help provide facilities and take a note of those issues and maybe feed it back if that's helpful. And in terms of the Agriculture Forum event taking place tomorrow, I'm very happy to supply the breakdown of the businesses who attend. We have 8 attendees confirmed, and there may be more, and we just can never tell on the day who turns up, but certainly we'll provide that feedback to you. It's no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Jane. Okay, Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Sarah Jane, and to your colleagues as well for the work that goes on. I suppose just have a comment and question. One thing that jumps out straight away from the report is the diversity of council programmes that it offers to help upskill businesses or introduce potential future employees to their businesses, and how council is very much at the heart of economic growth in our borough, and long may it continue. I know was at the apprenticeship one, and if anyone was here for the meeting that night and you couldn't get parked in the car park, there was that much interest in it. And it just goes to show that when we put those kind of events on and all the organisation that goes in behind it, it can pay off. So I don't know whether that's a takeaway from officers to keep going with those type of events, obviously spreading it across the borough, but it shows that there's more than a need for those type of things. Just have a quick question on the Classroom Assistant Academy, and you're right, Chair. We're crying out for classroom assistants at the present time. A note, Sarah Jane, it says the Academy is fully subscribed. Would you know the numbers that is? And given that it's fully subscribed, will another one be hoping to be run in another period of time, just to scoop up anyone who hasn't been able to get on this programme, but also helping to deliver some of that unmet need currently in the borough? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery and Sarah Jane.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery. I'm just checking with Daniel over here. And there are 30 people at present on the current Classroom Assistant Academy, and that's only a drop in the ocean. So we do have plans. We have our next 2 years action plans in from 25 to 27 to 2027, with DFC for consideration, and Classroom Assistant Academies will be included in those. So we're very keen to deliver those schemes in future if that remains a demand in the borough to help support people to progress in that career. So hopefully if that answers your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah Jane. And I think that's a bit that's impressed me. It was something that we talked about, but we didn't have the funding at one stage. But as soon as we kept pushing, the funding became, it's been done. So it's great. So thank you, Alderman Barry.
All right, Chair, thank you, and thank you to Sarah Jane, and it's also good to see her colleagues here tonight. There again, it's one of those departments and parts of the Department of Economic Development here where there's so many times we as members will go to seek assistance. There's a lot of folk who are thinking about starting up business, and the first port of call is Sarah Jane and her department, and it's one of those offices within council that we know that when we send people their way, they're going to get that advice and that help and assistance. So thank you very much for your continued work and continued help in relation to that. Councillor Lavery had mentioned the big apprenticeship last week before we went into committee. I thought we would pop our head in, and it was really encouraging to see so many parents and young people in looking for that advice, and to me that was a brilliant showcase and a brilliant advertisement to this council and to your department in what you're rolling out there. Those things just don't happen overnight, and to think that there's over 900 people here to seek that help and advice, and it was great to see the engagement with the businesses and the young people, and having a good one-to-one chat with them, which will lead to it. In fact, the chair and myself and a couple of other members had spoke to a girl, Jodie, who had been here 2 years ago, and had stood on one side of the table, and now she's on the other side of the table working for Randox. And she explained her journey through from Portadown College and going on for A levels and then getting the employment. And you know, that's what we as members like to hear and like to see. So it was very it's good for us to be there to actually hear what's going on out there. This is a really broad range of a department, which is very encouraging. So thank you very much, and continue to do what you are doing, because you are doing an excellent job and giving the council a really positive promotion out there for the good of our ratepayers. But last but not least, just in relation to the Go Succeed, is there any statistics? There probably is, and I'm not asking for them tonight, but maybe in the future it'd be good just to see in relation to, in the current economic climate, with especially small businesses under pressure, you know, on a monthly, you know, on a monthly roll to roll, for those businesses that you should provide support and help for, is there any statistics there in relation to how that sort of varies over that month by month? Is there any periods? Is there anything that you maybe think we could be doing more to help to support local businesses and those starting out? Because there's so many out there who would really love to take that step, but the first question they ask, and when they go to look at the rent and they go to look at the rates and they go to look at other things that would like to start up, then it nearly scares them. Is there anything, Sarah Jane, in a practical way that you think would help maybe to just encourage that entrepreneur to say, right, let's do this here? And do you think there's enough that we have built in for that support? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Barry. And yeah, that girl actually, I think, went on then to give her story that night. If I'm right, in the other room, she was out.
She did, yeah.
Doing it, you know. So I know on it. So, Sir Jane, are you able to come back on that last question? If you hit your light there for us.
Thank you, Alderman Barry, and thank you for your support as well. The support that we are requested to provide for local businesses does change every month. You do notice general trends, and what we do advise everyone is to take the expert support that's available. So it's there at all stages of the life cycle, and it's tailored and it's bespoke and it's confidential, and each business is matched to a mentor who will deal with whatever their concerns and worries are. So our message is always to reach out and get that support. There's plenty of support there, and that's right through from financial planning to business planning. So even if you are struggling with the day-to-day runnings of your business, the financial worries of it, we encourage everyone to please reach out and speak to us, and not to be sitting worrying about these things on your own. There's so much support available through that programme. And even if it's not provided through that programme, the mentors are very well linked up, that they will find out how best to support you. So if it's through grant assistance, or if you need to be put in contact with other organisations, they do all that, and they sort of become your best friend, if you like. And I can't, I suppose, champion that enough. But I can get statistics for you as well on the sort of monthly trends that we face, because there are quieter months, and the current programme as it stands is due to finish in March, and we're working with colleagues from Belfast and the other colleagues across Northern Ireland to develop the next iteration of that programme and what that will look like. So we're taking a lot of lessons learned, and we continue to shape and evolve that programme. But I'll bring that information back. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Jane, and Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Sarah Jane, again, and to all the team that are here tonight. It is really evident from that presentation exactly the amount of activity that is going on in economic development and how that benefits businesses, so thank you for that. I just have a couple of specific queries around match funding. So I see in some of these funds there is an element of match funding that is required, and I was wondering, is there any evidence within the economic development team that acts as a barrier for businesses to uptake some of this funding? I mean, we have had colleagues mention tonight around the cost of doing business at the moment, and I'm just wondering how that affects the entrepreneurship when match funding is a criteria. And I'm just also curious about the level of evaluation that economic development do on these funds that are given to businesses, and actually the tangible differences that is made with businesses, not just in terms of numbers, but in terms of their bottom line and how it actually impacts the business. So I would just appreciate some information around that, so that we can protect the value for money and deliver greatest impact to businesses through these economic development programmes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. I'll bring in Sarah Jane again.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. With regard to match funding, it is a requirement of nearly all these funding programmes, as you've pointed out. It is a huge barrier for local businesses, and what we've come to realise, particularly at the moment, is the time lag between getting your letter of offer to purchasing your items to then having to wait to monitoring and verification is completed, and then you're paid at the end of your grant normally. That's a huge issue for businesses, that time period between purchasing the item, paying it through your bank in full, and then waiting on the other end of it, and that can take sometimes months. So we work as quickly as we can to process that, but it is an issue, and it's something you've rightly highlighted, and I know we're keen to always learn from that and see what we can do to improve it. But it remains a reality that businesses do have to commit some level of funding, so it's sometimes short-term pain for the longer-term gain, but it is a pinch point for many. And in terms of evaluation, all these programmes, depending on the funder, we complete evaluations either 3 or 6 months later to check how has this impacted the business, have jobs been created, what are the economic outputs, have you created new customers, new sales, and that's reported back through, and I can certainly bring that to committee in future as well to let you see that. But thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor O'Hanlon?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. In the first instance, can I declare an interest as Chair of the Board of the Appleby Trust in Armagh? Appleby Trust is part of the Labour Market Partnership. We receive funding through that element. I just want one query in relation to the partnership, but it's not in relation to the element that Appleby's involved in, and it's back to the Classroom Assistant Academy. Sarah Jane explained that there was 30 participants in it, and that the academy is now fully subscribed. Can we give a wee bit of detail on how long does the academy run, and how much does it cost? Look, I note the proposal to include it in the 25 and 26 years. However, you know, I, like many others, sit on boards of governors, and I know on 2 occasions last week the issue was raised at 2 different schools, and I think if there was an opportunity to try and boost the numbers, so instead of running a scheme for 30 employees on the next run, if we could try and see if that could be increased, or as we tend to find is where the Department of Communities or others come to us with slippage money, that it could be diverted into a programme in relation to that. So it's just, first of all, thank the team for their work, but it's just in relation to the Classroom Assistant Academy, please.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. We'll bring SJ back in.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. So the Classroom Assistant Academy is funded, as you've said, through the Labour Market Partnership by the Department for Communities, and it's £50,000 of the budget, of the annual budget this year. I'll certainly take a note, and I know we do keep a waiting list, but I'll bring back that point that you've raised about trying to divert funding, should it become available, under other programmes, or indeed if slippage money does become available through other means, we'd be very keen to support more people through that academy. But thank you very much for your comments, and I'll bring that back, more information on that, should I say, to share with members, just to confirm if we're able to get more spaces or not, if that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah Jane. Yeah, and I suppose just like all these things, so much good going on, and each one of them has its own merit, but that is a very important one at the moment. I'm just going to bring in Paul here, our Director.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to, I suppose, thank members for their, I suppose, support this evening in relation to economic development team. I am conscious that there's another whole section of our team, our town centre managers, etc., who do a great job, and on our infrastructure side that aren't here tonight. But you've seen a lot of what economic development team are doing. We had in the Urban ABC paper the challenges around recruitment for businesses, and that is no different to, I suppose, council as well. We talked about match funding there from Councillor Ferguson, and one of the challenges we have as well is that funding is intermittent, and this is, I suppose, further to the 3-4 year funding budgets that we'd all like to see, so we can get reassurance for some staff. A number of our staff are paid in line with I suppose, recruited in line with funding streams, and they open and they close, and there's gaps in between. I suppose one of the things that's been important, I suppose, since I've been in council recently and working closely with Sarah Jane, Elaine and Nicola, is to ensure we get continuity of staff across economic development and I suppose navigate that world in terms of in-year funding budgets. And I think what you see here, and I suppose in that report particularly, is the output of being able to have continuity of staff through that, and that's something we hope to continue to do with this team and the wider team that aren't here as well. So, I just wanted to put that on record and thank members for their support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, members, that was an information item. Important that we spent the time going through it, and I think it does highlight a lot of what goes on. We're moving on then to agenda item 4.1, and this is the decision item. I'm going to ask Rosemary to take us through this.
Good evening, members. So I'll be reporting on the commemorative stones. So the installation of 15 commemorative stones is part of the Council's Centenary programme. Discussion had previously been taking place at the Centenary Working Group regarding the potential locations, and following discussion at committee in September 23 and then subsequently the council meeting. Members had requested that the initial 3 stones be installed at the Civic headquarter buildings, that option 2 was proposed in a number of locations across the borough be implemented. The 3 stones have been placed in the Civic locations, and there has been a little bit of PR with regards to that. Following this, we carried out some equality screening, and that was held on the Council's consultation hub. We had over 1,000 responses to that. Members then agreed to the locations for the remaining 12 stones, and the installation of these stones is being progressed at the moment. 2 of the stones have been installed in Lurgan and in Dromore, but due to location-specific considerations, with 3 of the remaining stones, new locations have been suggested in Appendix 1. So this is for Lagall, that has been moved from the community garden to Lagall Country Park. Portadown, that it's moved further towards the church, between the church and the War Memorial on the plaza. And Maherlin, that it's moved from the Maherlin sign to opposite the church. So the purchase of the stones had already been agreed, as was the installation of the stones. However, there are 9 locations that are not on council land, and permitted development is not applicable. So we've had to apply for planning permission for each of the stone at a cost of 9,900. The total cost is 9,900, with Portadown location required to be submitted twice. This was due to DFI being unhappy with the original location, and we didn't have enough space to find an appropriate location, so we had to do a new application for that. We're asking members to approve additional funds for the commemorative stones of 9,900 and agree the new proposed locations for Lagall, Portadown and Maherlin. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. And Councillor Kevin Savage.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report there. Just a couple of queries on it. Last year when the report came before a committee, the costs were between 4,000 and 8,500. Is it 9,900, is that an increase of 1,500, or is it on top of the 8,000 as well? And sort of as well, should not have been aware of these costs last year when the report came to committee and included it then, because this came back to committee again, and these centenary stones have come to committee quite often, to be frank, and I thought it was done and dusted. I know most of them have been through planning as well. So in terms of that, is the 9,900, is it retrospective? Because the planning applications most of them have been through planning as well. I sit in the planning committee and there's quite a number of them that came through. So are these applications already sorted and this is just retrospective funding? I suppose the questions I'm asking, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. I'll bring Rosemary back in again. You can put your light on for me again.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Savage. The 9,900 are for the planning applications. All the planning applications have not gone through. There's still one that has to go through. So these amounts have been paid through journal transfer from one department to another department. The original amount that was previously asked for was 8,400. That was for the installation. The reason why we had asked previously for the installation is because these sites don't belong to the council. So our maintenance teams don't work on private land. So we had requested at that stage that we bring in a company in order to do the installation for these. So we went out to procurement and have procured an engineering company in order to install these for us.
Thank you. All right, Councillor Savage. Yeah. Hit your button again there.
Thank you, Chair. And Rosemary, thanks very much for that there. Just one final question in terms of applications going forward. Are we content that DFI, there's no further issues with DFI with the plan process, that they are content with these and will not have the Portadown one coming back again because they weren't happy with it? Or is that all been boxed off? Thanks, Rosemary.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. And Rosemary?
Yes, Councillor Savage, we have, after what happened with the Portadown site, we made contact again with DFI. Now, we have been liaising with them all along, and we had hoped that they would have been a wee bit more agreeable with the plaza site, but unfortunately the plaza is extremely busy and it can be a wee bit crowded, and if we're holding events, so we do need to be extra careful there. The one that still hasn't gone through, we spoke with DFI last week with regards to it, and they've said that they have no issue with it, so we don't expect there to be any further problems.
Thank you, Rosemary. And Councillor McElrath.
Thank you, Chair.
Hit your button again.
That's better. Thanks, Chair. Thank you, Rosemary, for the report. Listen, this has been a wee bit protracted and there's been a fair wee bit of work around this, so we appreciate the effort that you've put in and the team. And listen, Chair, I'm happy to propose the additional funding that's brought before us here tonight. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And Alderman Baxter.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I suppose I could say it's when nobody envisaged we'd be here 4 years after Centenary still talking about it. It is unfortunate we're there. We are, and we've had the planning issues. But just to say, I know, Rosemary, and thanks for all the work that you've done on it, and you did make the point there. But I think it's probably worth noting again, worth highlighting that these are planning applications, so whilst it's 9,900, it's a new term I heard last week, it's wooden dollars. It's from one department here to another. Whilst I suppose they only cost us officer time, planner's time and doing all that, but it's essentially, it's all ratepayers' money, but it's going from one part of the council's budget into another part, probably within the same bank account. So we'll not get too carried away with the cost. Whilst it's unfortunate we're here, I think we need to be mindful of that. And I think it's a point worth noting. I know, Rosemary, you did make that point. So look, very happy just to second the proposal, and it'll be good to see these eventually in place before the next centenary. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter. So we have a proposer and seconder and have no other lights on. All agreed? Agreed. Thank you, members. Okay, members, our next item is an information item, 4.3. I'm happy if we've all read it and agreed to note, unless anyone has any questions. 4.2, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. 4.4 agreed. I thought we agreed in the second of both them there. No, apologies. That would have been handy. Okay, members, agenda item 4.2, and we're going to ask Brian Johnson to take us through this one. Thank you, Brian. Brian told me to do that. I did that. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. So the report before you this evening relates to VE Day, which is the 80th anniversary. Just in terms of context, and this has been quite a quick turnaround, in terms of context, there was a notice of motion brought forward to Council in November, and you'll see the content of the notice of motion there. One of the outworkings of this was that a working group was called together, and I would like to thank members for giving up time last week to have that working group. A number of people in the room were at that. So that was last Thursday, and the Appendix 1 is the terms of reference that was agreed at the working group for how we would deliver this. Just one final piece of context was that in March 2020 there was an aspiration to celebrate the 75th anniversary of VE Day, but given we were in the COVID period, that didn't happen. I think there were a number of elements that were delivered online as opposed to the way they were anticipated. So there's a breakdown there of the budget that Council agreed at that time. So in line with the notice of motion, there was an ask that we try to develop the programme based around the national programme as outlined as far as practically possible, was the wording in the notice of motion. And there are a number of elements in there as in terms of VE Day that is being rolled out nationally. So you'll see there's an element of raising the flag at 9 o'clock on the morning of the 8th of May, the lighting of a beacon at 21:30, 9:30 in the evening on the 8th. Again, that will happen across the UK and Europe. Celebration events throughout the day has been encouraged, and there is a Four Peaks event that's happening across the UK, and the Northern Ireland leg of that is on Sleeve Donard. So on the basis of that and the conversation in the working group, and I would reiterate this has been quite a quick turnaround, so often there'll be a bit more time to socialise some of these initiatives, but in line with the national programme there are a number of recommendations for the suggested programme. So you will see that the suggestion is the VE Day flag is raised at Civic headquarters at 9 o'clock on the 8th of May in accordance with the Council's legacy flags policies. Again, the lighting of the beacon, and again there was a general agreement within the working group that there would be one beacon lit at Craigavon, so that would be on Craigavon Lakes, 21:30, and the possibility of an event for an invited audience in Craigavon Civic Centre before or after that time, probably realistically before, given the time. Another element of the programme suggested is to support church service at St Patrick's Church of Ireland Cathedral in Armagh on the 7th of May, which would appear to be the national church service for VE Day. Again, very much a celebratory event. Members were at pains again to mention that they were keen to see financial support get out to community groups and community organisations in its broadest sense. So this is one of the elements why this had to be again brought forward to committee tonight. So the notion, and again broad agreement among the working group that funding shouldn't exceed £500 per community group and wider groups as well. And again, education was a key element of that in schools. Museums exhibition to be delivered by our own council teams, and we've done that in previous initiatives, and education elements again to be considered to be delivered through schools, because there's a strong education element to this. VE Day is obviously Victory in Europe Day, and again it's just making sure that from a generational point of view that people acknowledge that, and our younger citizens also understand the whole messaging and the story of that time. So I think there's a strong education message in that. And again, there's a general sense of a need for a focus on Thursday the 8th of May as VE Day itself. So there's two recommendations for members this evening. One is A, is that members agree the programme is outlined in the report, and B, that members agree upon the number of community groups and schools to be supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Councillor McElrath.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, for bringing forward this report at quite short notice. No, a lot of work has went into it, and there's a very quick turnaround on it. So, listen, appreciate all you've been doing on the team as well in relation to this. As you said, it's on the back of my colleague Alderman Moutry bringing a motion in December in relation to the 80th anniversary of VE Day, and something that as a council we felt that should be recognised and celebrated. I suppose if we look back to the 75th anniversary, it was in the midst of COVID and there really wasn't a celebration. So a note from that I think council had maybe set aside somewhere in the region of 50 or 60,000 on that occasion, but quite a bit of that wasn't used due to the circumstances. I suppose as a group, Chair, we're broadly content with what's in there, Brian. That's, I think, a fair summary of what took place at the working group the other day. So we're broadly content. I suppose the one thing we would say is, as we do deliver a programme across the borough that's as widespread as possible, and I know Armagh is very much mentioned, and we had an excellent service back there for the King's coronation service. It was a fantastic event in the cathedral. So that's to be applauded in there, and also the lighting of the beacon here in Craigavon. But there's obviously a wider element to the whole borough as well, places like Drumore and Rathfriland and Banbridge and so on as well, that we would have some kind of support in kind in those areas as well, or the education piece, as you've already alluded to. So we're broadly content, Chair, with the programme. I suppose point 2 is the members agree upon the number of community groups and schools to be supported. I suppose I'll cut to the chase here, and really for our FAP team, if it's them that's going to be rolling this out, we need a figure to work to as council. And as I say, going back to the 75th, where we talked about, I think there was around about 60,000 in total. I'm proposing, Chair, a figure of 40,000, capped at 40,000, and that would be eligibility for 80 groups. Capped at 500. Now, given the short turnaround of this, it's probably highly unlikely that we get near that figure. But however, I think given the nature of the event and the interest across the borough, I think it's only fair that we set, and I think that's a reasonable figure. I hope members across the chamber will support it. So I'm proposing a figure of 40,000. That's 80 groups, maximum of. And then there's the small additional programme that's already costed in the report under point 1. Make that a proposal, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath and Alderman Moutry.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to second Councillor McElrath's proposal and pay tribute to Brian and the small team that he has around him for putting this together in such a short time. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Moutry. Councillor Mackle.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I would prefer myself that we would come on under budget in the budget that's in the papers. There might be a suggestion of around 50 groups would be able to be eligible to apply. Could he clarify that this is for events on VE Day? So it's not like VE month or VE week or anything like that. It's for events on the VE Day, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Mackle, I'll bring Brian back in there.
Thank you, members, for your comments. Yes, Councillor Mackle, in the report we do suggest that there is a focus around VE Day itself. Now that's a Thursday. It's not a public holiday or anything like that. So again, again with all of this, there are those set times, particularly 9:30 in the evening is a key time during the day. So again, there will be a focus on Craigavon at that time in terms of the beacon lighting, if that's what members agree this evening. But yeah, the recommendation in the report is that they're focused around VE Day itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, I suppose I was on the working group and I'm not sure that it was prescriptive to the VE Day, because I know that we could be different groups doing different things. So I'm not sure, but I'll bring back in Alderman Baxter here, or bring Alderman Baxter in.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just conscious that we're going to have the event on VE Day, so I'd imagine community groups and schools or PTAs that were applying maybe for things that mightn't just be on the Thursday, but maybe, you know, that weekend or something. I think if we limit it to that one day, it's going to be very, very difficult for groups to organise, considering everything's, you know, there. But I would imagine most events, the vast majority of events will take place within those few days, probably around that weekend, I would have thought. So I think if we keep it to one day, it would be very problematic, I think, for...
Yeah, that was my understanding from the group. Brian, are you looking back in there? No, okay. Councillor O'Hanlon?
Yeah, Chair, thank you. Look, I'm happy with the sentiments around if you put a date around that weekend. So if you were to say that the events had to be held on or before the Sunday the 11th, if that give some sort of focus for members. But can I just ask in relation to eligibility, would it be envisaged that schools could apply, or would it have to be PTAs?
Thank you. Just before I bring Brian back in, Alderman Baxter's is laid on again.
Yeah, just a quick point. I'm not sure if there's anybody here from FAP, but I know FAP quite well, and I know that schools can't apply. It has to be PTAs, and PTAs constituted with a constitution and a bank account, because I think funding to schools has to go through the Education Authority, so there'll be an issue there. But I think PTAs are well set up to do it, probably, or even a local community group could work with a school. I know we've done that locally as well. So I'm assuming we'll be running along FAP guidelines, and that probably would preclude schools as an entity on their own.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter. Councillor O'Hanlon?
Chair, that's exactly the reason I asked, because the report says that schools can apply for it, and that's the exact reason I asked.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. Well pointed out there. And Alderman Burns?
Thank you, Chair. Could I ask, would churches be able to apply for that?
Okay, we'll bring Brian in there.
Thank you, Chair. I will check. The proposal would be that if members agree this evening, we will run it in line with FAP governance. So I will check that again. And apologies for the reference to schools. I think there was a strong sentiment from members that there was an education element to it. And when I looked at it again at the 75-year anniversary programme, there was a big element of education. So yes, we'll deliver in line with the FAP guidelines, and I can come back and check if churches are eligible.
Thank you. I'll bring in Alderman Baxter.
Thank you, Chair. And I think whilst you would like to sort of sit outside the FAP rules, I think from a governance point of view, Brian, and you maybe agree with me there through the Chair, that I think it's probably prudent to go along FAP guidelines because it's already in place and it keeps it cleaner. I know churches can apply through FAP as long as whatever they're applying for isn't promoting their religious aspect, their religion, or promoting a faith-based thing. So churches can apply as anyone can, as long as they're not promoting a particular faith. And I think with a VAT thing, they wouldn't be doing that. And I know you will check it and come back, but I think just to keep it cleaner, you'd probably have to go with FAP, Brian, if you're happy enough.
Okay, members. So yeah, I think it'll be going the normal FAP guidelines as normally goes into it. So, okay, I'm just going to bring in the director here.
Thank you, Chair. Members will be aware that with any FAP process, the guidance notes usually come to members for approval. I'm very conscious of the time constraints around this, and if members are happy to consider the director to get delegated authority to review those guidance notes in relation with what's been, I suppose, said here tonight. If they're happy enough for that, that might have to be proposed and seconded, but it's just a consideration for members. And I suppose we're ensuring a timely, rollout of this program.
Thank you. Alderman Baxter.
Yeah, happy to propose that yourself, Paul, has delegated authority to move this on, because we need to do it as quickly as possible. Do we have a timeline when you would like to see this out? Will this go out with call 2 or before?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll check in with Ruth and the head of community and her team to see if it can align to those timelines. Obviously, I'm very conscious of the process, application process, and then I suppose review and approval process. So I'll link in with, I suppose, the FAP team, if you like, and if it can be aligned to a similar process that's going out, we will. If not, we might have to run a separate process for that, like we've done in the past, albeit it'd be better to be aligned to something. But I suppose what we want to do is certainly give any successful applicants enough time to organise their, I suppose, event, and also have the knowledge that they've secured funding when they're doing that. And so for me, it's about progressing it as quick as we can, subject to obviously full council approval and call-in period, etc.
Thank you. And Councillor O'Hanlon?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, would it be prudent maybe if the director brought a paper or along to full council at the end of the month, setting out the proposed guidelines, and at least, and I understand you would normally wait till this decision is ratified, but if that a paper could be brought along to council at the end of the month with the guidelines, but also then the advice from community development in relation to whether it can run as part of the normal FAP process, or indeed if a specific scheme is needed, and that any approvals then could all be wrapped up as part of the monthly council meeting, just for governance.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. I suppose that'll be up to members to decide of us whether they're going on. Alderman Barry?
Thank you, Chair, and I would second Alderman Baxter's proposal there to give delegated authority to the director. I think in all of this, first of all, I'd like to thank Brian and his team, because this is going to be needs to be a very quick turnaround here, you know, for groups to avail of it, but especially, hopefully, those schools that have, you know, those PTAs, because this is about education. And I watched a programme recently and across the rest of, you know, the United Kingdom, where it's very much focused on schools and about the education side of things. So I'm hoping that there would be a good take-up of that right across the community. But Brian, I'd just like to ask, and I know because of the timescale might be difficult, but one thing that was coming across quite clearly, you know, yes, there was the 75th and now with the 80th. Sadly, the 90th, there will be many, if any, of the veterans from that Second World War that sadly may not be with us. Have we done anything locally to incorporate any veterans that we would have in our area as citizens that could tell a story, possibly tell a story, or their stories in relation to the VE Day and the Second World War? Because I think if we could maybe work with the like of the Legions or something that possibly could have veterans out there, citizens of this ABC area, it would be good to incorporate them in this and try in a way for them to tell their story and to get that out there for the next generation. So I think it'd be nice to see if we could do a bit of work of that in the background, if it's possible. Just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you, and bring Brian back in.
Thank you, Alderman Barry. It is a good point. And again, in the past, we have undertaken a social history piece. So I think, if with your agreement, I might broaden that out to people who were alive at that time, because this was about celebration at the end of the war. So people who were living through the hardship of rationing and all of that. So I would suggest that if members were agreeing with that we broadened it out to general citizens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Members have no further lights on, so just for clarity here, the second part of that was the 40 grand, and we had a proposer and seconder, we all agreed on that. And then the other part was a proposer and seconder for director approval. Are we all agreed on that? Okay, members, no further lights on. Thank you. Agenda item 4.3 then is an information item, but Brian's going to give a brief update on that.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for letting me come in. I wanted to draw members' attention to a few things in the update. So, similar to what Sarah Jane did earlier, this is just an update in terms of some of the activities that have been happening across the facilities. I thought it was important to start with F.E. McWilliam Gallery, and there was a note in there, but it came to committee last month about additional funding that had come in that have been drawn down by Rianne and the team. I think since then there's been additional money has come in through Levelling Up, so we will need to bring a more update report on that. But fundamentally, I just want to update members that, again, we're still on track for this project to be finished in March 26. Contractors will be on site soon, so we haven't brought an awful lot of updates on this. It's just again to make members aware. Just a further piece in Effie McWilliam, and just again to sort of confirm back to members, we have heard in terms of that idea of making sure local people are engaged with Effie McWilliam Gallery. So there will be disruption this year, but you will see in there's an update in the number of initiatives that have been done, education initiatives through schools and with local people coming in and encouraging local people to use the facility. So that is something that's been, members have made loud and clear, and we are following through on that. I wanted to mention too, again, the Marketplace Theatre in Armagh. You will see that the outworkings of the pantomime last year were phenomenal, and again this year we have 95% occupancy in the available seats across those shows. So you'll see the number of seats that were sold. It's just an acknowledgement to the team. That's phenomenally busy time of the year. The team are working sort of 24/7. We have a small technical team who put all of this on, and again, like the quality of what was delivered this year was phenomenal. Again, I would like to just mention to members, and you'll all have had an invitation, for the 1st of March is the 25-year anniversary of Marketplace Theatre, and all members have had an invitation on that. Now that the date's passed for that, but if any members would like to attend, and that's going out across council, if you'd let me know, and we can add you to the invitation list. And finally, just a last comment. We've discussed community arts in the past too, and you'll see a number of programmes that have been rolled out across, particularly around Lough Neagh and Mahary. And again, just acknowledgement of that community arts team. If there are community groups that you're working with across the borough and you think there's a good project there, this is really meaningful working with groups. And again, people who've been disenfranchised, people who work with new communities, people, again, older people's groups. And again, so if there's any groups that you're aware of across the borough that you think there's a community arts project there, we have some funding, and some of this we draw down additional funding as well, but just to endorse that to all members so to have a thought about that. And if anyone wants to come forward with anything, I'm happy to see if we can take that on board. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Brian, and Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, for that update. It's very exciting. And the tourism thing, one thing I don't think you touched on was St. Patrick's Day stuff that's happening next month, because I'm already getting advertisements on when I'm watching YouTube about people visiting the ABC Council for all of those. So congratulations to whoever's running that campaign. It's definitely breaking through, and it's another good couple of events planned for next month that Council are heavily involved in, and brings a lot of people into the borough there as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery and Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Chair, and Brian, thank you for bringing this report. I mean, it is really exciting to see everything that's happening across the borough in terms of arts and tourism. My question is in relation to the Effie McWilliams Gallery, and you said the contractors will be on site soon. Just what are the plans around communicating the closure here according to the construction timeline that they're facing before March 2026? And when will that be communicated to the public if this hasn't been discussed already at this committee? Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Brian.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson, for your question. There has been a few delays with getting contractors on site, so we have a communication plan in place. I think the best thing would be to bring a further report back into members. We're hoping that the closure period is as little as possible. There's some legal discussions going on in the background around that. So we're just, again, there's a few legal agreements to be finalised with the franchisee. So once that's finalised, I think we can bring a more detailed report and a communications plan, because that is going to be really important. We've had the issues, obviously, with the brown and white signage being removed from the A1, and again, that is still causing some angst. So we do want it to be as clear as possible that the venue is open and operating, albeit in a slightly reduced capacity. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And yeah, it's important that it's as little time as possible closed, and at least disruption. Okay, members, that was an information item, so we're all agreed to note. Thank you. Members, we've no correspondence in agenda item 5. We're about to go into committee, but just before we go in, can I thank staff who came in tonight? Hope you find it informative. I was going to say enjoy, but don't know if you could enjoy it. But thank you for coming, and wish you all a good evening. Thank you. Okay, could we now see your proposer and a seconder to go into committee? Proposed Councillor Savage, seconded by Councillor Ferguson. For consideration of confidential members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, exempt information will now be moving in a confidential session of the Council. This means we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I now ask ICT officers to please turn off the public feed for the meeting, and can give me the nod when confidential section can proceed. Thank you. Okay, members, agenda item 7 is any other business, and we don't have any tonight, so I want to thank you all for your attendance tonight and wish you all a safe journey home. Oh, hold on, sorry, was that? We didn't have any decision. We had no decision there.
We did nothing. I'm sorry. I apologise.
Right. We had no decision there. It was just an information item, so I think we're okay to move on there. So that's okay. But thank you. Okay, members, you're allowed to go. Thank you. Right.